And we're here with another XFL Markcast. Good morning, Reid.
Two things. First, happy 6 months.
I said good morning to you, Reid.
Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Paul. Happy 6-month anniversary on our podcast. This is we're official now. We've been podcast dating for 6 months. Also, this is I've seen this
dating?
A lot. What?
Okay, we're not dating.
We're podcast dating. We're like officially official now. Like we could move in together, right? If we were like in.
Oh, okay.
And then this is the 21st day of the 21st year of the 21st century. I saw that post, not on when the episode is airing, but when we recorded this. I've seen a lot of people posting about that on Twitter.
Is that okay? Conspiracy?
No, it's just kind of like a weird, it's January 21st of 2021 in the 21st century. I know you're big on dates and coincidences. So
here we go. Here we go. You're making little jokes. You're making some jokes. I just want to point out that I share a birthday with a president. That is official.
Is Joseph R. Biden, his birthday is January 21st? November 20th.
Yeah.
Wow.
Joseph Robinette Biden Jr.
That's a weird middle name. Not to get too political, but that is a weird middle name.
And he's a junior, too, which means his dad had that same name.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's probably an old name, though.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Old, like, from, wherever Joe Biden's family's from. Want to say this, though. I want to say that congratulations, Joe Biden was inaugurated. Mm-hmm. This isn't political. I think it's in the best interest. When Trump was inaugurated 4 years ago, I was like, okay, I didn't pick this one, but let's see what he does. I hope for the best, because if he does well, we do well.
Yep.
My personal opinions aside, I think the same thing needs to apply here.
Yep.
So let's keep it moving, and let's keep it moving with the XFL Markcast.
My one question was, he had a busy day yesterday, right? 78 is still 78, right? I mean, is he drinking coffee? Is he drinking Mountain Dew? I mean, I want to know because I get tired. I couldn't imagine.
I'm tired now.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. So that's as political as I want to get. I just was thinking about that all day yesterday. Does Joe drink coffee? Is he a coffee guy?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You watch old videos of Joe back in the day, and he was like a youthful, snappy guy. Like there are women that I work with that see like the old photos of Joe Biden, like, wow, he's super hot. Mm-hmm. Like, so maybe he's still got some of that energy, just kind of saves it. He's got to reserve it for those moments when he needs it, when he's signing, 20 executive orders to undo the other 20 that start, it's just like, Joe, love it.
Yeah.
We're here for it. We'll see what happens.
So we got a lot of good feedback last week on the podcast. I did my call. I said I wanted more YouTube comments. We had a ton of YouTube comments. Van the Man left them. Jenna left them. Paul has something to say. Jack Stevens. And then on the contrary, we had a lot of good feedback. So thank you for that. If you're watching on YouTube, xflshow.com/YouTube, please subscribe. We get a lot more views than we get subscribers. So I would love to get that subscriber count up. We get a lot of views, but I'd like to get the subscriber count up. And then Paul has a comment. And
that's where I'm going to come in and say something right now.
Yep.
We want to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. What are we at right now?
You don't want to know. If your goal is 1,000, you don't want to know what we're at right now.
That's something to entice people with. This announcement right here.
We are at 93.
93 subscribers. So it's nothing. We all got to start somewhere. And I'm not knocking this, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a giveaway.
Okay.
I'm going to do this giveaway.
Okay.
Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we will send out to one of you that's subscribed on YouTube. We will send out to one of you an autographed football from Chad Ochocinco.
Yeah, friend of the show. Friend of the show. Friend of the show. We could do that. I like that.
Get us to 1,000, and we will pick one name out of those 1,000 that subscribe to us on YouTube, and we will send you a Chad Ochocinco autograph ball. Does that sound okay to you, Reid?
Yeah. How about we start? If we get to 100, I'll send somebody a sticker back. Let's start there.
No, I'll shoot for the stars.
Okay.
1,000. We're gonna send out a Chad Ochocinco football autographed football to one of our 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I think that's the goal.
Okay.
I think that's a lofty goal, but I think we could get there. So tell your friends, subscribe to us on YouTube.
So
you could possibly have a chance at getting this football.
I mean, we get the views. We just need the subscribers. That's what we want is the subscribers. We get good. We have one comment, fourth man. We were talking, and we got more trademark stuff this week. We were talking about the NFL last week. It was the Houston Roughnecks, the oil tower. He fourth man said NFL are stupid and wrong for their trademark claim towards XFL. So thank you very much. I encourage all feedback. We had a bunch of stuff talking about how Vince is a Vince Mark and that he definitely tweeted, or he definitely texted his catchphrase in the text to Oliver Luck.
Oh man, what a mark!
And then I do have my jersey that we unboxed last week. Funny enough, two different listeners, Mark and P. Ramirez, both bought jerseys off of the recommendation. They waited for me to take the plunge. What do you think about that, Paul? That we have listeners and viewers that bought jerseys after I bought them?
I think the people who are running the XFL really need to reassess, reaching out maybe to us to help with our marketing, because it seems like we're working. It seems like we're doing something right here. We're not just unboxing baseball cards or anything like that. We're doing something right over here on the XFL Markcast.
I'm just saying, artfire.com. I'm waiting on that commission check when those two Chinese knockoff jerseys clear. I'm very excited about that. We had a review too. I'm going to pull it up if you want to just vamp for 2 seconds. Sorry.
Okay, we'll totally vamp. Over on xflshow.com/merch, you'll see a lot of the items are popping back up. We've changed out the logos. There was an issue, and I realize this now. There was an issue to where I had changed all the logos out, but our on-demand drop shipper wasn't allowing us to add more than 2 products during the holiday season. Holiday season's over with, so we're able to do a mass release of products. They're all online. xflshow.com/merch. And don't forget as well, xflshow.com/review. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast player.
Yeah, Alan1998 left one today. He is a fellow podcaster and a sports fan. He said he would recommend this podcast to anybody. So that came into Apple Podcasts. We have a really great show today. We have Jerdy, Jackson Erdmann coming up from Fan Control Football. He's in the bubble right now. I hate burying the lead. I always bury the lead. Jackson Erdmann, Jerdy's coming up. Right off of his practice, he came home to the hotel room and hopped on the show. We really appreciate that. And then we have Vince from the Alternate Football Scouting Report coming on as well to talk about, he's covering all the stats and everything with the XFL stuff. He's a brainiac when it comes to all that stuff. So
definitely brainiac. That's a good term to describe.
Vince, we love you. There's a lot of info.
There's a lot of info there that Vince spends a lot of time on, so we're appreciating him coming on and chatting about that.
Yeah, so we're going to do all our XFL stuff, and then we're going to get to, we got the big Fan Control Football dump, and then, not to bury the lead too much, my wife is joining us on the show. I probably should have said that before about 10 minutes in. I texted Van the Man, our number one fan last week. I said, what'd you think of the show? He said, short and sweet. It was okay. I go, Van, we had 3 pages on the Google Doc. We went for an hour and 6 minutes. You're going to tick Paul off if you tell him. So he said he likes guests. Well, we have 3 guests today. We got Jerdy, we got Vince, and then we have my wife. Dorothy is joining us from school via Zoom. We have an unboxing from her. She has a surprise. I literally don't know what it is.
Okay. Well, we're looking forward to that. Definitely looking forward to having your wife here and joining us on the Markcast, the other show. So stay tuned for that. I guarantee it's probably going to be good.
Hope so.
I know how clever Dorothy is and how creative she is. So whatever she's got planned for us or you, whatever it is, it's going to be good. So I'm definitely looking forward to
It's
that.
Garbage segment adjacent. So that'll be the end of the show. We'll get into
we don't want anyone to think that it is garbage segment.
Because it's my wife.
It's your wife.
It's
not
my
a garbage thing. So with that being said, let's get into the meat of the stories here today on the Markcast.
Yeah, this is so this just came out yesterday. We had the whole thing last week with the Houston Roughnecks. They're the oil tower and the Oilers. You know, the Houston Oilers, NFL was suing because of that. And everyone said last week, they go, oh, don't worry about it. The Houston Roughnecks, they have the alternate logo. They can use that. It's totally fine. And we said, that looks really a lot like the New England Patriots logo. Guess what happened this week?
The Patriots sued.
Yeah, the NFL sued on behalf of the Patriots. Again, all these lawsuits came out like back last December, and they've been extended and extended and extended. But now they can only extend it like 2 or 3 times. Now all the kind of S is hitting the fan, as you could say. And they are saying that the Patriots, did you know it's the Flying Elvis? That's like the official name of the Patriots logo.
I did not know that.
And then the XFL, the Roughnecks one is just known as Man. So they were not as clever.
That's great.
We said it last week. What do you think? I think that this is definitely a problem.
Maybe.
I'm going to put the logos up right now, so I'll remember to do that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Maybe. It's not as bad as the oil rigs. That's clear. This one's a little bit, I don't know, like, is this going to set a precedent to where any sports team that has like that half face with a hat on is going to be sued? Is that what we're doing here? Like anything that kind of remotely resembles the perspective of the Patriots logo is automatically going to be under scrutiny for having a man with a bold outline and a hat.
Because it's like the jaw thing too. It's the side profile, and then it's like you get a lot of like these, straight lines.
I definitely see the jaw thing.
And if you look on the, if you look for the New York Guardians logo too, even though it's like that Sphinx head, it's a very similar. It's almost like the designer that did it. And I'll put this logo up too if you want to look at the New York Guardians one. It's almost like what do you always say? Like graphic design is my passion. Like the guy just copied it and changed the colors. But I never.
It's like, can I borrow your homework? Yeah, you can, but change up a couple answers here and there.
And that is it. The New York Guardians is the Roughnecks, is the Patriots. I don't know. Are there other? I was looking at the other logos. I mean, the Battlehawks and stuff. Are there other logos that are in danger, like the Dragons? I mean, does that look like anything? I don't know.
I don't think so. But then again, there might be some random like baseball team somewhere that'll come up and go, "Hey, look."
Yeah,
you don't know.
Well, it's going to be. I mean, I think the XFL is going to have to pay a royalty here of some kind. The problem is, you got 2 different ones, right? I mean, you got it wasn't like you can just let's settle with the Roughnecks, let's use the little man thing or whatever. I mean, now that they're having trouble with both different ones, it is interesting that the NFL. I think a lot of people thought they were going to play nice this time. The XFL isn't doing the whole like anti-NFL thing. They're trying to be more of a feeder system, an alternative, and not competing. And now it's like, the No Fun League is out for blood. I don't know.
Speaking of the No Fun League, I think we can move on to this story. Channing Crowder, am I saying that right? Yep. Channing Crowder was on the podcast Drink Champs featuring Nori. Nori has a podcast.
I don't know who Nori is.
You don't know who Nori is?
No.
I'll have to school you afterward. We don't want to get a copyright ding, so I'll have to school you afterward on Nori.
Is he a rapper?
Yeah, I guarantee you've heard a couple of his songs. Okay. You probably haven't been able to tie the artist to the songs. But that being said, he was on their podcast, and he was talking about, Channing Crowder was talking about, apparently The Rock has wasted his goddamn money with the XFL.
Yeah, because he said that there's no way that the XFL is ever going to compete.
Well, the point was that the XFL wasn't supposed to compete anymore.
Yeah.
That was what we all understood. It was just like, oh, here's more football. XFL 1.0 definitely was meant to compete with the NFL. We know that. They were trying to. They were doing these different things. They put in wrestling angles with Jesse Ventura beefing with one of the coaches. Basically, they were trying to compete with the NFL back in the day, but they're not trying to do it now. They're just trying to offer more football. So I don't agree with this at all.
Also, I mean, especially this year, of any, with all the XFL call-ups we've had, with the Heineke and everything else. I mean, it just seems crazy to me that, you're kind of like crap talking this and calling it a waste. I mean, the whole reason why all these other guys were, fit to play and in shape was because these, alternative leagues existed. And that it seems weird. It seems like a very bold take. I mean, I tweeted when I saw it on Friday, I'm glad that I saw this article so that we could address it. But I think that people are still thinking about the XFL 1.0 when they talk about these things and not any of this new stuff.
Completely. You nailed it right there on the head. The whole purpose, the whole benefit of having an XFL now is you saw the situation in Carolina. You saw the situation with Washington. These spring leagues got these quarterbacks to maintain their shape and conditioning for the NFL. You nailed it.
Well, and especially, where we're going to talk with Jerdy later in the show. I mean, a lot of these guys, like, they need these leagues to do this, right? If the NFL, and we're going to talk about the combine and all that stuff, the changes with that. I mean, you need to have these other alternate leagues where the guys can get reps, stay in shape. Obviously you want to get views and all that stuff. And so it now more than anything, it really shows the need for all these alternative leagues.
Yes, definitely. Moving forward, though, the combine, you briefly mentioned it up. Apparently, they're gonna have to do some changes with that.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that? I think the feedback I got was they needed to announce this a while ago before now that we're like out of everything going on. Is that similar thoughts to you?
I mean, I thought it was bound to be coming. I mean, we didn't manage to get this under control as well. I mean, the United States only has, I think, like 4% of the world's population, yet we account for 25% of the cases of COVID. We didn't have this under control at all. I don't, that's not a political statement. We did not get this under control. So this is not a surprise to me. It should have been decided maybe 6 months ago that this was going on. But I don't know exactly what's going to happen, how this is going to work virtually. They're not going to allow, I said I guess this year all on-field workouts will be conducted at on-campus pro days. Are they going to zoom in? So many questions that they probably should have had figured out long before now.
When does I am dummy when it comes to all this, like, not in the football league stuff? When does the combine usually happen?
I want to say March.
Because draft's April, right?
Don't quote me on that. I want to say March.
Because the draft's April, right? We do that. It just seems like
okay, last year it was February 23rd to the March 2nd. Yeah. So yeah, it's about a week at the end of February.
Yeah, and I mean, it just seems like if I was someone that had just played in the spring league, or if I was playing in the fan control football right now, I would feel a little bit better about doing those, right? Just knowing that maybe I have some more, I mean, does that work that way? Do they take that tape, or they need like the numbers and stuff that they're getting from all that? Because I know that they run all that.
Yeah, the combine is different in terms of, like, they do specific, like shuttle run and the 40-yard dash. And this is stuff that you can do, basically on campus. And, you could, with the technology the way it is, you don't need to have a combine necessarily, as long as you send someone that is like, I guess, licensed by the NFL to go to a campus. You're limiting the amount of people that are in the area that are actually, because you don't want to put 80 people in a building in Indianapolis and have potential of a super spreader event. But if you send like an NFL, like a representative out to perform the measurements and gauge them and give you an unbiased reading on these players, this could work if you're just doing it on campus at the different players. With the different players.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just think, if the XFL ends up doing the summer showcase again, it's just a lot of these guys are going to be going out. It's just, you're cutting the opportunities for them to be seen by people, to get out there and, network and everything else. And so it's just interesting. I figured that probably had something to do with the XFL. I figured I'd throw it in.
I think there's a.
Bless you. Paul's going to sneeze.
No, I was yawning. It's been. I didn't get much sleep last night. I think the thing that that also kind of affects people is that you have a lot of these people that aren't coming out of college that are already kind of playing pro ball on some level, and I mean that's what fan control football could necessarily provide to you. I mean, there are things they're going to measure in a combine that are going to give you a like unbiased how this performer can perform at a peak level. But you actually have to see them in the game. And there's always intangibles in a game. That's why, robots don't play baseball, although people believe that robots should play baseball. The way they gauge these stats these days is completely different from when I played. So the combine only measures like one peak performance as opposed to in-game situations. And I think that there's the spring leagues will definitely could help change how we view a combine. Potentially too.
Kind of like your SAT versus like actually like your GPA, It's really nice that you could like really study for that. I just know this week I've seen a lot of combine footage because the Teron Johnson, the Buffalo Bills guy that caught the ball and ran it back for the TD, over the Ravens. He was the guy that got whacked in the head with the football back at the combine in like 2018. So I saw. I'm not going to put it in because I'm sure it'll get flagged. But Google that combine head guy, and that was the same guy that 3 years later ran back the winning, the game sealing touchdown for Buffalo against the Ravens last week in the divisionals.
There was an article that was posted here about the timeline and comparing the XFL 2022 to the 2020 timeline, and people, I guess, seemingly kind of upset. Is that what I'm reading?
Yeah. So just a couple notes on this. Mike Mitchell posted this. XFL News Hub. We always like to share when it's kind of one of our websites we're affiliated with. When they do good work, Mike put together a ton of work talking about the timelines of this year, how everything's going with the XFL versus when they launched the first time. The funniest note to me of any of this, first of all, was Mike posts these articles, everyone shares them on Facebook, and this guy shares. He goes, "Well, I guess we're screwed for this year," and it's like, welcome to the world. Like, the XFL was never coming this year, like at all. Like, so that was first off, was just like, people hate reading anything, right? They just share everything. They don't like, hey, well, I guess we're screwed. But the point is, people are really worried right now. They're looking at, I know other XFL podcasts look at what is happening this week and what happened 2 years ago. And like, it's not the same thing at all. Like, Redbird has so much money and people behind it. And like, The Rock has, a million guys, and they can just go do stuff, and Danny. And so like, I just don't think that we can compare like the same Vince, like old school family run business, Vince McMahon, a couple years ago, like in the slow rollout of the XFL. I mean, not that you can snap your fingers and get the league going, but so much of it is already in place with the teams and the logos and the cities and the lease agreements and all this stuff. I know we need the coaches. I know we need the commissioner, but like, they weren't going to hire anybody in 2020 because they didn't want the debt on the books. Now they'll start hiring everyone this year. But if you're not doing a summer showcase till June, why would you hire coaches in January? It's going to take time, but it's all going to be there.
I completely agree with you. And, venture capitalists like Redbird, they don't get in the game of venture capitalists and stay in the game for being unsuccessful. They're successful, and they clearly, they're investing their money, and they have some decision making, and they want to protect their investment. And it would be unwise just spend money just for the sake of spending money, so people can stop complaining about,
Oh, absolutely.
Complaining about, they're not doing enough right now. Calm down. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. Also, they need the TV deals. That's the biggest thing. Is once the TV deals come, everything else, if they're still negotiating that is first and foremost more important than anything else, is them having a good TV deal.
Speaking of XFL players in the NFL, this is something that might affect PJ Walker in Carolina. Deshaun Watson has not asked for a trade in Houston, and the team hasn't said they'll trade him, but it looks like they're going to trade him. Yeah. That's kind of the kiss of death. He's not happy there. I mean, there's something about playing sports in Houston that makes you not happy, like James Harden, who's now on the Brooklyn Nets. Shout out to Brooklyn Nets. Yeah. Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
He lost. How did he lose like 15 pounds overnight?
Oh, dude, that's a good question. I want that diet.
You've seen that, though, right?
Yeah, of course. I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan. Yeah, of course I saw it. Yeah. I want that diet tomorrow. Like, seriously, I have some serious belly weight I want to get rid of. James Harden, what did you do?
Yeah.
You just drink juice? Did you just eat salads? What did you do, James? I want to know what James Harden did. I'm not fat shaming him. But all of a sudden, like, he dropped 20 pounds.
Overnight.
Overnight.
Anyway, Deshaun Watson, they say that this is according to Rap Sheet, so it's at least as official as it can be coming from Rap Sheet, which he's, good. He said that don't dismiss the Panthers being in the mix of, they talked about the Jets. They've talked about, sending them down to Florida for Tua. They might be sending Deshaun Watson to the Panthers.
Look, first and foremost, for all my Jets fans that are friends that are fans of Jets, what is Deshaun Watson going to do for you when you don't have an offensive line? Nothing. So keep dreaming. The Dolphins, sending Tua and then sending a couple picks here and there seem like the most likely possibility. But I know that, outside of a couple players here and that have blabbed about Tua, the Dolphins seem pretty happy with Tua. So I don't see that happening. But the Panthers need to just figure this out. This is like, you're going to have two quarterbacks on your team that are making $20 million a year.
No.
Deshaun's making 20-something million a year, too.
Panthers hate Teddy Bridgewater. They hate Teddy Bridgewater.
That's clear. It's clear they do not like Teddy Bridgewater.
Or PJ Walker. That's why we talk about it, in case you're...
Well, why did they pay him $20 million? They don't like him.
I don't know.
This is insane.
Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I like to keep an eye on, people think, PJ signed a 2-year deal with the Panthers, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of talk there about QBs. And if you got PJ Walker there, it does not seem like he is long for the world. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. Moving on to the Oliver Luck versus Vince McMahon situation, the drama, the soap opera unfolding. The court has given both parties till, I guess, next week.
It'll be today when the episode airs, because our luck, literally, I post the video. Usually I get up at 7, post the video. Paul posts it. Audio comes up online before that. 8 a.m. every Friday is when they do this stupid lawsuit. So we're always a week late, but this is what they're going to do this week.
Apparently, it's going to be to satisfy the prejudgment remedy, which is to show that both parties have the assets to pay, depending on who would win. Like Oliver Luck has to prove that he can pay Vince McMahon, even though I don't really think Oliver Luck is going to be found. I'm not a legal expert, but from what the evidence points out, it doesn't look like Oliver Luck's going to be found culpable here. If a stipulation happens before that, the case could move to trial, which could take the rest of the year. And if the parties cannot stipulate, then there will be a hearing. Luck's still fighting the passcode on the phone. He's moving that he couldn't have been fired for cause because he was never formally informed of his omissions and actions of being against alpha policy.
Like, basically, he wasn't given like a slap on the wrist. This is all shout out to Josh Davis. This is all his research on here. I just want to make sure we give proper credit. Josh Davis, XFL News Hub, covers all this stuff. But yeah, Luck was saying that he wasn't given any prior notice of getting fired, and that it can be wrongful termination if you weren't given like a heads up.
That's a good point. I mean, normally you have to have a paper trail. Like, that's why you get corrective action in a workplace, is that they like to make a paper trail. So corrective action isn't for you to get it is kind of for you to get your acted together. But it's also for the company to be like, okay, we've got a paper trail now that we're starting. Yep. So, there doesn't seem to be a paper trail here.
Yeah. He also says that the cause was fabricated. He denies that he tampered with the phone and deleted stuff. That was kind of the big drama right now, is he supposedly deleted a bunch of stuff on the phone that was talking about, I don't know what he was doing. But yeah, Vince is not happy with that.
Interesting. And speaking of Oliver Luck, I am so happy about this news. Larry Scott has finally been released as the commissioner of the Pac-12 coming in June, I believe it is. And this is long overdue. Larry Scott has bungled everything when it comes to being the commissioner of this league. I will give him credit. He did expand to 2 teams. He got the Pac-12, 12 teams to get a Pac-12 championship game, which means more money. That being said, I think Larry Scott was the commissioner who oversaw the bungling of the potential of going to 16 teams. That didn't happen. Because of a clause that no Pac-12 team or Pac-16 team could have their own network. And that was the key sticking point for Texas. Texas wanted to have their own specific ESPN-like channel, and the Pac-12 wasn't willing to budge on that. So basically, also, I need to point this out, the Pac-12 network has never been on DirecTV. One of the biggest distributors of content via cable or satellite, DirecTV, if not the biggest, because it's nationwide, not like, you get Comcast in certain areas and Spectrum in other areas. DirecTV goes nationwide. And the Pac-12 network was never on DirecTV. Also another failure of Larry Scott. So one name that's been mentioned to replace Larry Scott is Oliver Luck.
Yeah, I mean, he's done XFL. He's moving on. He wants his money. We've talked, our scoring lover has seen Oliver Luck all over ESPN and stuff. I mean, man's a genius. He knows what he's doing. Highly respected. That's why even when it comes to this lawsuit, if it does go to a jury or whatever, I mean, you have a lot of positive feelings about Oliver Luck. I feel like that you don't have towards Vince McMahon. But you're excited. I mean, you watch college basketball.
I watch college football too. I hope this happens. If Oliver Luck becomes the commissioner of the Pac-12, look out. The conference is going to do some things. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there with that. Goodbye, Larry Scott. Good riddance. See ya. A couple more signings here, and then we'll get to all that stuff. A bunch of XFL guys have been signed to future deals right now, and that's
We talked about it last week. It doesn't count against anything this year, the numbers or anything. But like Jordan Ta'amu is back with the Chiefs, but that doesn't mean anything right now. That's for next year. I know with everything with Patrick Mahomes right now with the concussions and stuff. Ta'amu's back with the Chiefs. And then a good news too, I'm really excited about Josh Johnson's going to be back with the 49ers. I know we had speculated when he was on the COVID list, he wasn't cut. We got Josh Johnson, slapped us on the wrist about that. He's back with the 49ers. Thrilled about that. What do you think about Josh being back with the 49ers and Ta'amu with the Chiefs?
I think it's great. And, goes to show, again, the power that Channing Crowder's wrong. The Rock isn't wasting his money. You're seeing these XFL quarterbacks get chances that they might not have got had it not been for the XFL. So happy for Josh, happy for Jordan. Waiting to see what happens. There's chatter that Garoppolo might go back to the Patriots. Patriots might be willing to trade some draft picks to get him back. Who knows? This could open the door for a bunch of different things. So looking to see what happens with this.
And then just some other signings. You want to run those down? Just the ones I've listed.
Detroit Lions have signed Dragons defensive back Godwin Igwebuike. I hope I'm
Igwebuike. Yeah.
Igwebuike, yeah. The Steelers signed former XFL Guardians offensive tackle Jaron Jones to a futures contract. Nick Moore has also signed from the Vipers. Nick Moore has also signed a futures deal with the Ravens. Renegades kicker Austin McGinnis signed a futures contract with the Rams for next year. Another kicker, Guardians kicker Matthew McCrane, and Wildcats fullback John Stanton. Futures deals with the Cleveland Browns, who are on the up and up.
Yeah, so these are all basically it's like getting your foot in the door for training camps and stuff in the summer. So it doesn't mean that they're like for sure whatever, but they have interest in them. They want them to be recognized with that, and so it's good. It's good. Seeing that I guess I would debate, right? Would I rather be signed to an NFL futures or go with the summer showcase with the XFL? I mean, obviously you want to take the NFL.
You want the futures deal. You definitely want the futures deal. So with that being said, we're going to take a break. Come back with Vince from the Alternate Football Scouting Report and talk to him about what's going on with Fan Control Football. All right, now we're joined by Vince from the Alternate Football Scouting Report. Vince, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well, man. What's going on?
Just plugging through. Fan Control Football kind of is the focus. We wanted to bring you on and talk about that.
Yeah, I was joking that this week we had talked about Vince and a lot of the stuff last week with a lot of the players coming into the bubble and everything. And, Vince was messaging me this week about some news. And I said, hey, man, why don't you just, as opposed to me regurgitating all this stuff, Vince and I got hooked up back with all the Spring League stuff. And then he kind of transitioned now. But people that are listening, if you're into the alternate fan stuff, the alternate leagues like stats, players, all that stuff, Vince really is a good person to go to. And so I would definitely recommend a follow on that. I do mean that for someone like we're kind of, we're like the Markcast, we talk about, we're kind of the high level stuff. And if you really want to get into the stats and everything, Vince is a good guy to go to. So thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate that.
Of course, man. Great intro. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So what is your biggest takeaway right now news in Fan Control Football? Because I got a bunch of notes on the Google Doc, but I want to see where you come to first.
I think the biggest thing is that everyone's down in the bubble now. Everyone seems happy in the bubble now. And that was really a big thing for me, like especially when you guys had Kent Shelby on the show with everything that happened with the Spring League. I know I was really worried that something like that was kind of going to happen again just with COVID or, whatever else happens with these alternate leagues. So I was really, I wouldn't say worried, but I was like a little skeptical. All right, something bad going to happen once everyone's down in the bubble, but no problems, no COVID issues. Everybody likes the food. Everybody seems pretty happy. So, whatever they got going down in the bubble right now, it seems like they're doing it right.
It definitely sounds like that. We got Jerdy coming up here in a bit to talk about. Probably we're going to ask him about the food, of course, because the food as described to us at the TSL was kind of Fire Festival-ish. So we're gonna bring Jerdy on here in a quick second and then discuss that with him. What are you looking forward to in terms of the product and the interaction with the fans when it comes to Fan Control Football?
I mean, I'm really excited to see Quentin Flowers play personally. As a fellow XFL Mark, I really wanted to see him hit the field more in the regular season. I was kind of confused as to why he wasn't starting in the first place. As a lifelong Bears fan, I do not like Mark Trestman. I did not think he was a good coach for the Bears. So I have my opinions about him down in Tampa Bay. And I felt like, I'll give credit to Cornelius where it's due because he really did start to turn it around as the season went on. But it was pretty clear to me, especially in that Roughnecks game, that Flowers should have been playing more, and they didn't play him. And I was upset about that. And then, as time went on, there was always speculation of what guys are coming back as far as quarterback goes. These like PJ signed with the NFL, Tiamu had signed, Josh Johnson ended up getting picked up as well. So, Flowers has really been like on the top of that list of XFL quarterbacks. And I was really excited when I saw him pop up for the spring league as well. And when I was looking at all the rosters, I was like, dude, the Jousters are stacked. Like they have multiple NFL experienced guys on the offensive line. They got some really good looking running backs. They got some really good tight ends. This wide receiver's been on the Chargers practice squad for 2 years. They got Quentin Flowers. Half those guys didn't even know that the league existed. So, after all of that, I was a little bummed, and I still wanted to see Flowers play because I think he's one of the best quarterback free agents out there right now. So when I got wind that he was signed to the league, I was like, "There's no way this is really happening." Like after everything with the spring league, like there's no way he's signed again. And then I just like reached out to him and was like, "Did you sign to FCF?" And he was like, "Yeah." And that was it. And I was like, "All right." So then for like a month or so, I was waiting on them to like break the news or something, and no one ever did. So I was like, all right, well, here's the news, everybody.
That seems like they wouldn't capitalize. That's weird that they wouldn't capitalize. No one reported that.
Yeah, I was surprised, honestly. Hey, you know what? It netted me my first Wikipedia credit, so I guess there's that. But yeah, I was pretty surprised. I figured they would have really marketed that just to XFL fans. Like, hey, XFL fans, you wanted Quentin Flowers to play, and he didn't. Now it's your chance to vote to make him play. You know what I mean? But hey, he's there, and more than likely he's going to be one of the starters. In my opinion, I think he's going to be one of the starters. I think he's going to have a great season. So,
well, that brings me, and we've talked a lot about this online. You talk about the marketing and stuff. We're getting ready for this. They're in the bubble. There's a ton of money being put into all this. Bringing in everybody, setting up the stuff. They're building this. You've reported. They're building this stadium thing, and they've got the drones and the helmet cams and all this kind of stuff. I mean, what are your thoughts leading into this? Getting team owners involved. I mean, we've gone back and forth having mixed thoughts about all that stuff. So, where do you think we're at now?
I feel like they could be marketing it a little better and maybe marketing it a little more geared towards football fans. It feels like they're not trying to gear it directly towards football fans. And you know what? Hey, like if that's just the world that they just want to exist in, is just like, hey, we're not a football league necessarily. We're a football league, but we're also this. So if they don't want to cater to football fans, then I get that. It seemed like they're trying to get people that are more into video games into it as well. But in the reality of it is it's a football league. You got to get football fans if you want to survive as a football league. And I know it seems like they've got a lot of connections as far as advertising and whatnot. I think there's a TV deal in the works still. I did see something from FCF News about that a little while ago. And I know that one of the guys was on a podcast with somebody, one of the owners, and they said that there was a TV deal in the works or something, but it's not official yet. It's just, if they want to get the viewership that they want, I feel like they need to gear some of their marketing more towards football fans.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta. I mean, I feel like we're at the precipice here. We're 3 weeks out. I mean, players are there. I mean, like we're going for it. And Paul and I were talking before. I've been reaching out to team owners. And I heard back from one this week, and their agent, and they said, they're totally booked right now with interviews. Maybe we could schedule something at the end of March or April. And I said, thank you so much for getting back to me. I appreciate it. But I said, this is a 6-week league. We're 3 weeks out, like we're going. And I said, that I absolutely will talk in April, whatever. But like, I just, to get all these guys involved, and Paul and I have talked about this before, you can have 16 million followers and all this stuff and get everything. But if you aren't getting the promotion out there, I just don't know. I mean, Paul, what do you think about that?
I think the reason why they brought these team owners in, to be honest with you, was because they had big social media followings to begin with. And it doesn't seem like they're using their social media followings to promote. I mean, like Mike Tyson, I guess he's no longer affiliated with this thing. And I never saw one tweet from him, nothing about this. And maybe it wasn't when I wasn't paying attention to Twitter for a brief second, but I never saw any promotion from Mike Tyson about this. I'm not seeing much promotion from these owners about these teams.
Yeah. And like part of me thinks that they're waiting until like right after the Super Bowl when, all the players are done playing, football's over. It may not be the best idea, but maybe that's what they're really waiting for the general football world to be done with football, the NFL for the year. And that's when people may be interested in what's going on. And that's when they may be able to catch more interest the week leading up to kickoff. This is just speculation, obviously. I feel like they should. I mean, you know what? I shouldn't say that they haven't put enough football stuff out on social media, because over the past few days, I've seen so much practice footage from all the players on their stories, from a bunch of the coaches on their stories, and eventually making it back to the main page and the team pages and whatnot. So they are finally putting some footage of these guys practicing together out. But there wasn't a single highlight reel posted by the league. And, what I do and what my Twitter page really is meant to be for is promoting players that are talented or signed to a new league. And in this current situation with my FCF scouting, it's really meant to be like, I want to be able to show all the fans who's signed to this league, where they've played, and how good they are. And even the guys who haven't stuffed the stat boxes, I will find their best plays. And I'll dig through a 3-hour full game footage to find the one punt, like block punt that this guy got, just to make, their career highlight reel just flash a little bit more, to make it just look nice. So it's all football, promote the player, promote the league, and then just let them know, okay, like this guy's coming from playing in Germany. This guy was playing in the arena leagues. This guy is fresh out of college. This guy played in the NFL, There's a giant mixed bag of it. And part of it is like, you may be able to get some fans from Germany over if they know, hey, like this guy was on, what's his name? Kyle Kitchens. He's a defensive end. He was on the Potsdam Royals in the GFL. He led the league in sacks. He had 16 sacks in 1 year, 32 tackles for loss. He was very good. And he signed to this league. And there may be a bunch of GFL fans that be like, wait, I remember this guy. I can watch him play some more football now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing we talk about, and Paul and I just, again, before we got on here, like, in an alternative world, XFL's coming back in 3 weeks, right? And not that we wouldn't, be covering this and talking about it, but it certainly wouldn't be the focal point, and we're guilty of that, right? Spring League came out, it's the same thing, right? Okay, we need stuff to cover. We're talking about this. Yeah. But I mean, Paul, I know that we've talked about this where, if we had gotten to this point, if everything wouldn't have happened this year that did, we would not be having Vince on right now talking about fan controlled and having Jerdy on, right? I mean, most likely, right?
Most likely, yeah. And I think that to your point, Vince, when you're talking about like maybe they're waiting till after the Super Bowl, when we were gearing up for the XFL last year, they weren't waiting till after the Super Bowl to market and promote it. They were running commercials. I mean, I don't know.
What do you think? So we got a couple news bits this week. The voting came up. They did the 1 foot inbounds, won the voting rule. So the new vote now is doing the reviews, right? So it's either like players from all the teams not involved can vote, or players that are like part of it. What do you think about the inbounds rule, and then this new we're voting for now with the reviews?
I am a 2 foot guy personally. The fans voted on what they voted on. It is what it is. But I think I really think it should be 2 feet, because at the end of the day, all of these players are trying to make it back to the NFL or make it to the NFL. You know what I mean? And if the NFL is a 2 foot league, then you should probably be using the same rules, just so you can showcase like, hey, this receiver can still follow your rules. But, the whole essence of it is that it is fan controlled. And if a majority of the fans want 1 foot for flashier catches, and, it's easier to call it a catch if 1 foot is in as well. There's no sitting there arguing about a call. I get it. I don't hate the 1 foot rule at all, And again, if it comes down to a fan vote and the fans decide on it, then it is what it is. That's what the fans wanted. That's what the whole league is. So they're staying true to their image then, as long as they stay with that. But with the what was the new
reviews, like how if it's going to be all like teams not involved, fans not involved, or fans that were in the game of those teams.
The other option they have is you can I don't know how it's going to work, but you can become a certified review official. I don't know if they're going to put an online course on the website and just you have to pass a quiz or something of okay, is this a catch? Basically, it seems like they're going to have some way to vet out,
the marks.
People that don't really know the rules or people that are just trying to f around. Sorry, I know you guys.
Okay.
I apologize. I've been trying to stay good. I like to swear a lot. Try to stay good. But yeah, they I think that could work if it's, they weed out the fans that are well read in the rules and understand and will be impartial. I think that could work. I think it could also work with fans that aren't playing, just because it's all right, here's everybody else, you have nothing in on whether or not which way this call goes. What do you guys think? Because I know I have sat there and watched some horrible calls made in NFL games and screamed at the TV, "What are you doing, ref? That's a horrible call." You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was an instance where my alma mater was playing in the FCS, the Division 1 AA.
Yeah,
there was this pass interference call that was most egregious pass interference call that was missed, and I was so angry because
steaming. Yeah,
this is the situation where my team doesn't normally get that level of success in 1 AA ball or FCS ball, whatever they call it. So it was just a situation where I was really irritated. So I get it. We had Patrick Dees on. He talked about how some people that are voting, the fans that are voting for the league, do have a certain kind of if they start getting calls right or start, basically there'll be a tier system of situations. Yeah. I wonder if that'll be incorporated in this review process, if the fans are allowed to be involved in the reviews, like you were saying, being an official. I would
assume that would play into that then as well. If they have that system kind of already set up, I feel guys that are doing more and more official calls or say I sit and watch every game and I'm just constantly doing officiating. I feel like they would be okay, this guy has called, X amount of plays. We trust him and, this person and this person as well. You know what I mean? I think it could work. I don't have any problems with that system, actually. I think it could work.
My question, do we feel we did the jerseys, we did the team names right, logos, we didn't do colors right. We were supposed to do colors. The foot in bounds, reviews. Obviously calling the plays is the biggest thing. Is there any misses in terms of fan controlled voting things that fans should have had to say about before?
100%. The draft. They just kind of decided that the draft would be weekly, but maybe fans should have voted on, do we draft weekly or do we draft once? Because I've seen Instagram comments and my buddy Alex, I forget his last name, but he messages me a lot on Instagram about, this fan controlled stuff. And he told me I think they should put it up to fan vote. And I 100%, this was 20 minutes ago too, that he sent me this message. And I 100% agree with him. I think it should be a fan vote of, do we draft weekly or do we draft at the beginning of the season? Because the case for drafting weekly is if you're bringing in all these video game fans that don't know anything about football, but then, one team has just got all the alternate football fans that know all these players already on it. They're going to draft a super team. Video game fans aren't going to know who anybody is. They're going to have to go based off of whatever information the league may have to give. And they may end up with a, significantly worse team. And that the point of a weekly draft would then let them go, okay, I made a mistake. Let me redraft, blah, blah, blah. It'll keep the talent, I guess, level. But the problem with that is that you're pulling wide receivers away from your quarterbacks every week. And QBs and wide receivers need time to really build, a rapport together and to really be in rhythm together.
That's something we're going to talk to Jerdy about when he comes up later in the show.
Yeah. If you're moving receivers around from week to week to week, they may not get a chance to really build that connection with their receivers, and it may lead to sloppier play on the field. They do have a few things in place to prevent this, though, like all the offensive linemen are in units together, from what I understand. So that's a huge thing, because if you imagine shifting offensive linemen around from week to week to week, it would be a sack party, if no offensive linemen really getting time to get into rhythm together. So, and the defenses are all in units too. And then I don't know how many keepers they're giving teams, but there's your franchise tag, and I'm going to get into that one in a second. Yep. There's the franchise tag, and then there's the keepers. And the franchise tag is I guess the owners use, and then the keepers are the fans vote on them. And I don't know how many keepers you get. So I'm thinking there's 4 or 5 maybe. And, if it were me, or what I'm honestly going to try to do is tell fans around the time of the beginning of the season, hey, use your keepers to keep your offensive line, your quarterback, your best receiver, and your defense. And if you have one more spot, either your wide receiver 2 or running back number 1, just to have and just use the same keepers every week and just keep as much of a consistent offense as you can. Because if you keep shifting too many players out, it may lead to some inconsistencies. Yep. And it just, it's not going to be as clean as you want it to be. I think that's really what it is.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to try to explain people, right? Sorry, I cut you out, Paul.
When you talk about the keepers thing, I don't think this was advertised before, but the whole Johnny Manziel issue, when that was a franchise thing where he's going to play for one team and one team only. And we were kind of baffled. We're wait, I thought that wasn't going to be allowed. What were your thoughts when that happened?
That was, I didn't like that personally. Just because it wasn't discussed at all. And it felt like it was the complete opposite of what fan controlled is supposed to be. Because in reality, it was really Bob Menery just being wild on his Instagram with Johnny Manziel, starting all these rumors that Manziel was going to come play for the league. And I was like, you know what? If it generates some attention towards the league, whatever. I have no problem with that. I'll give Manziel the benefit of the doubt. Every team he's played for since leaving the NFL has been in bad shape when he arrived. Forget what CFL team he played for. He was on the Alouettes. They were not doing well when he got traded to them. He was on the Tiger Cats, I think, Hamilton Tiger Cats, coached by June Jones at the time, I think too. May not be 100% on
June's on the Manziel thing. Yeah, June's on the Manziel.
Yeah, so he got traded to a team that was struggling, and then when he was out of the CFL and went to the AAF, he went to the Memphis Express, who were also very much struggling at the time. So, I know that his on-field product hasn't been great through his alternate football career necessarily, but I'm not going to say 100% that he can't still ball, because we saw how good he was at one point, and, maybe being in a different situation will yield a different result. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
However, sorry to get a little off track, the franchise tag rule kind of came out of nowhere. And, there was no advertisement of it anywhere. No one really saw anything. And then out of nowhere, they were just the Zappers have used their franchise tag on Johnny Manziel. And I was like,
didn't even know it existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even know it existed. And they had already even said, he has to be drafted. He cannot just go right to the team. That was what the understanding was. Because remember, when they did on the Twitch show, they introduced the other James Harden, the football player. And part of the introduction was Quavo saying, "Welcome to the Glacier Boys" in a video. And then they had to correct him hey, he's in the league. He just has to get, he still has to get drafted. And, that's what I was under the assumption was that, Bob Menery really wanted his friend to get on the team. And now at that point, I was like, look, he's already got all his fans voting for that team. They're all going to want to draft Manziel in the first round. Just let him go get him. There's plenty of other great quarterbacks available. If they really want him, just let him go get him in the first round. Quentin Flowers is still in the mix. Jackson Erdmann is still in the mix. Mason Espinosa is one of the best arena quarterbacks around in the past few years. I don't think anybody even had an idea that he was there or who he is. There's a good chance he doesn't even start just because of name recognition.
Yep.
He may be the best quarterback there. He had a season where he threw for 66 touchdowns and 7 interceptions.
My last question for you, and kind of what inspired this whole thing to begin with. You had messaged me this week. We talked last week. Marshawn Lynch's brother was coming into the league. Was going to join Marshawn. One of the team owners for the Beast. We had messaged, talking about the Twitch show. He was supposed to be on last week, right? It was advertised with Bob Menery, I believe. They weren't on. Now you had reported to me that Marshawn's brother had left the bubble. Now Renee Montgomery is advertised to come on today on the Twitch show. So our episode will air tomorrow, but we'll know. Do you think she will come on? What is the story with Marshawn's brother and all that stuff?
I don't really know in depth. I just know that he was in the bubble at one point, and then I think he just left on his own accord. I don't think there was really any issue. I think he just. Honestly, I can't say anything 100%. I can't confirm anything. From what I am assuming based off of just what I saw on social media, it looked like he just didn't really want to do it and left.
But that obviously had to do with where Marshawn was going to be on the show talking, and then he wasn't on.
Maybe. I don't know if that is the reason why he didn't go on the show. I think part of what he was going to do was I thought he was going to use his franchise tag on his brother. Devontae Sapp Lynch is a very good running back for those that aren't tuned in with arena football and with the GFL. He played in Germany for 5 games, ran for 700 yards, went off in the IFL last year, and Marshawn used his has a IFL team, the Oakland Panthers, and the very first player they signed was Devontae Sapp Lynch. So I was under the assumption, and a lot of other people were under the assumption that was what the franchise tag was going to be used on. He was going to get his brother, and honestly, it may be connected. Maybe his brother was like, "Look, man, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Blah blah blah. Don't go announce that I'm going to be your franchise tag. I don't know if I'm even going to be here." And then maybe that is what happened. Honestly, I couldn't tell you for sure. If I were to make a wild speculation, I'd say that's what happened, though.
Okay. Yeah, just curious about that because, like I said, it just goes back to the whole team ownership and all that stuff anyway. So Thank you for that.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything from Thomas Rawls either. I don't know if he's got any social media. I haven't been able to find him. That's typically how I've been able to keep track of who's actually there. It's just followed a bunch of players on Instagram. Whenever they tag somebody else in their Instagram story, I go and follow them. And I'm just keeping up of, okay, this person's in the bubble. And then I eventually take the time to pull up their stats, reach out to them, get them to confirm everything where they played and whatnot, But yeah, I haven't seen anything of Thomas Rawls being there, signed, or in the bubble or anything. It would be really great to see him come back. I mean, he was a great running back for when he had time to play, but we'll have to wait and see on that one still too.
Vince from the Alternate Football Scouting Report, thank you for joining us today on the XFL Markcast.
Thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Really appreciate it. And keep doing the Lord's work out there, tracking these stats. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Y'all be well, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Want to thank Vince from the Alternate Football Scouting Report for joining us here on the Markcast. We're going to take another commercial break. Got to come back with Jackson Erdmann, Jerdy, tag Jerdy. He's going to talk about his the bubble so far for fan control football as well. Coming up right after this.
Look at this guy.
Hey.
Oh, hey, what's going on, man?
How's it going, guys?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
You seem to be very popular with some fans. What do you attribute that to?
I got a great following from my school at St. John's, my family and friends, and then just on social media too. Got a great support system.
That's all we heard last week was Jerdy, and tag Jerdy and Wild Aces. And we had listeners tweeting the show saying we needed to have you on. So we said, all right, we'll do it. And so we got Jerdy on here straight off of practice, right, today in Atlanta?
Yeah. Literally just came home from practice. We're still kind of not in the quarantine phase. We're slowly getting out of that because we just had practices, but still doing the social distancing. We're in a pod of 4 people and we all have select times for dinner. So I'm just waiting for my dinner time now.
How is the food? Because we heard stories about the food at the TSL. How's the food at Fan Control Football so far?
So good.
Okay,
good. Every meal, it's super good. At first we had them delivered to our door, pretty much when we were quarantined, but now we have the dining hall open and yeah, it's even better now. So I'm loving it.
Good.
I saw a lot of, before you guys actually went, because you just started practices this week. Last week, people were going in. I saw a lot of like people running, like doing routines in the hotel rooms and stuff like that. I mean, what was it like kind of going through and flying in and getting into all this? Because you're the first, player that we've talked to that's kind of entered the bubble now and is playing for fan control.
Yeah. It was different. I love how seriously they're taking it, obviously, because in order for a league to operate, in the time we're at, that they need to have protocols and be very, very strict. So I was excited for that. We came in, and what was it, like 6-7 days? We didn't really leave our hotel room unless we were going downstairs to get tested, and we had certain times and everything. So definitely got a little stir crazy, but still, like, we're down here to play football, and like we have a league we're getting ready to compete against like other positions. So yeah, you saw a lot of guys on social media like working out in the rooms and just kind of being creative, and then also this league is all about fan interaction. So like taking the teams and like then tweeting or just showing it self promotion too. So it's been a really cool experience so far, and I'm excited for the league.
You were in the spring league. What was your experience like there?
Yeah, it was a great learning experience. That was my first football league outside of college because I graduated last December. So I was excited just for an opportunity because a lot of like my pro day got canceled and the rookie mini camps got canceled. So, and COVID ended up canceling like the spring league eventually. So I'm happy for this league and just excited that they're putting it on and taking COVID very, very seriously. But yeah, spring league was a great learning experience for sure.
Yeah, just talk about the importance of having, we covered the spring league back in the fall, obviously fan controlled, we're in the XFL podcast, but having, leagues like this for you guys, especially this year in general, where kind of everything else got messed up and you lost all this different stuff, having the ability to go out, with the spring league. I know I think you got injured, right? Right, you got a concussion in the spring league. Is that correct?
No, not diagnosed, but I got my bell rung for sure. And then.
Well, so and that not necessarily working out right, that getting canceled, but now being able to do this, talk about just having these reps, these opportunities to stay up on everything. I mean, here we just covered XFL guys from last year going into NFL playoff games. I mean, it's just crazy how much more relevant all of this, having the spring football is right now.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so fortunate to be here in this day and age. Like, this is the only, like, there's only two football leagues going on right now. XFL, CFL, those are all like taking a year off or whatever. It's FCF and like NFL. And so I'm just excited to stay in shape, keep getting reps, keep, going against great competition. So come from a D3 guy, just competing against guys that are like at the D1 stage and everything. And like seeing, okay, I can compete with them. And like, I'm, just building confidence in myself and getting ready to make that jump to the next level. So it's exciting. And again, it's so important because you don't want to be sitting just at home trying to work out and then waiting for that opportunity. Like, development is so key in this day and age. So yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Anybody in the bubble with you right now that you remember from the spring league? I know that there was someone that was signed recently. Let me pull it up. I'm probably going to butcher this guy's name. Quadarius Smith. He was on the Blues for a little while. Anybody else that you are familiar with?
Yeah. So Lawrence Keys was the center, and he's here too. And then we got two other D linemen that were on the Blues with me, and they're just coming in, or they've been here. And it's hard to tell who's been here since the start and who hasn't because everyone's masked up, right. And then we're like quarantined and everything, or social distancing. So it's fun seeing guys. And then there's a couple guys that were like on the Alphas or Conquerors too. So there's a handful of guys here.
Yeah, no, I was messaging a couple XFL guys that are coming in, and yeah, they're still going through some of the, some of them are still going through the testing and everything. Where it's kind of like this staged rollout here over the next couple weeks to kind of get you guys all together. I guess if it weren't for COVID and it weren't for all this, I mean, were you eyeing right NFL everything moving forward? I mean, did having COVID cancel kind of all this stuff? Did this put all this on your radar that maybe wouldn't have been there before, or were you kind of aware of the spring league and obviously fan control's new, but some of these alternative leagues?
Oh no, I wasn't at all. I was hoping. I was in the Gopher Pro Day, Minnesota Gopher. I was excited, to showcase myself in front of like all the scouts there, and then hopefully, get a rookie mini camp or get picked up into a camp or a free agent deal. Otherwise, like I was excited for CFL opportunities too. I'm on Montreal's negotiation list, the neg list right now. And then, the spring league, and I had no idea what the FCF was at the time either. We're completely like off my radar. But But just the pro day was canceled. The rookie mini camps were canceled, like I said. So I was just working out throughout the summer, like hoping like rookie mini camps would happen maybe right before training camp. They ended up not. And then my agency was like, he presented like the idea of like the spring league, introduced it to me, and then also the FCF. So I actually did an FCF workout right before I started the spring league because it was down in Houston. So it timed out for me. But yeah.
What's been the differences between the bubble that you're experiencing there at the FCF and then what you experience at TSL in terms of testing or anything like that? Yeah.
So the FCF, we've tested a lot more frequently. And then we also have, it's like a little necklace, like palm tracers or trackers. So like we all wear those when you leave the room. And then I think like NBA, NFL have used them, and like it just records like who you're like in contact with for a certain amount of time. So just tracing us and everything. So that's been, and then like really hardcore quarantine. Like we have people in the halls that like are like, where are you going? Like you're not allowed to like leave, or just making sure like we're like no one's like messing around and breaking the rules.
What was your first reaction when you heard about this fan control football league? You know, it's a little different than your typical, obviously, football thing. So what were your first reactions?
I thought it was genius, you know, just combining, you know, Twitch, which is a huge platform itself, with just the concept, whereas like fans actually vote for the plays. And, you know, I was like, why hasn't this been thought of before? So I'm super excited, just like obviously to play football. I love playing football. But then outside, it's just a super cool idea. And I'm excited to be a part of the like inaugural season. And I think it has a lot of potential, you know, like this could potentially be the future for like, I mean, football is maybe easier calling actual plays, but who knows, across all sports, it could be like this in the future. So I'm pretty pumped up just to see how it like have firsthand experience of how it operates, and then how it plays out.
As a quarterback, though, you might have to, you know, call something on the fly, call an audible. How do you think the fans would react if you had to do that?
I don't think that's allowed. I'm still like learning the rules, but I'm pretty sure the audibles are not allowed, because my understanding is the fans will have like roughly 10 seconds to get the play in. Everyone has radios in their helmets. So it'll be like 10 seconds to transmit the call, and then play clock's going to be really quick. They're really promoting like high, fast-paced, no-huddle offense. So I think it's a rule that we're not allowed to audible. If anything, maybe like flip the play, but like you have to stick with the play call. Interesting.
One thing that's so different about this league, you know, we covered, like I said, the spring league was, you know, obviously the involvement, you know, that's what it's built around, right? You know, getting the fans involved, but it's also, you know, the involvement from the league, you know, the league reaching out to people, you know, the teams each have their own social media, you know, and that's all goes to, you know, you guys, right? Because you want to appeal to the fans. You want them to pick you to be playing every week, right? You know, where some of these guys, you might be the best athlete in the world, and not that you are not an exceptional athlete as well, right? But you could be the best athlete in the world. If no one punches your ticket, right? Maybe you're not getting to play as much. Do you think that you're, you know, obviously getting on the podcast, you know, other things, do you think you're ahead of the curve in that and reaching out, getting the involvement where maybe some of the other players in like a week or two are going to be like, oh, wow, I should really have gotten on this?
Yeah, this league is all about, you know, promoting yourself and interacting with the fans, which I love that aspect. You know, to me, it's just like viewing it as like an even bigger team, you know, because everyone's involved, which I just love that aspect of it. So yeah, I'm trying to network as much as possible, get my name out there, because you don't want to be in the place where it's like, oh man, like sit back, not do anything and not engage with the fans. Because if I'm on a team, I want the fans to know like what type of plays we like interacting and all that stuff. And you know, that's where the teams are going to be the most successful, excuse me. And then, just, you know, building your network too. I love like meeting people and like talking to new people. So I love all the different platforms that the FCF is providing for us to interact with fans. And yeah, so I just absolutely love that aspect.
We talked about a few of those technologies they're bringing in, like the virtual meet and greets and stuff like that. Of course, you know, with COVID going on, it can't be an actual meet and greet. What kind of technology have you seen there that you've really been drawn to so far that's made you go, wow, that's cool. That's a good addition for any football league.
Yeah. So they're actually, I think it was maybe finished today. They're like working on like a virtual reality, like weightlifting type thing. I've never heard of it. I don't know the technical name, but that's getting put together. So we're going to be able to start using that. And there's so many different like other opportunities. We're going to have like some classes on like, you know, just like Twitch 101, like streaming and all kinds of stuff. Cause I'm not as familiar with those platforms. I have accounts, but just don't know like the diagnostics and everything. But I'm excited to take advantage of every opportunity because the FCF is like providing these platforms for us. So I'm over here like brainstorming, like what can I do? Like can I create podcasts, like content, or like just like video games? I'm looking at like biggest like streaming video games and stuff like that. So there's a lot of opportunities, which is awesome that the league is providing for us.
What's cool for me is, we've been following this since, they announced the team owners and everything, right? And you got like the Beast and the Wild Aces and stuff. And it's so interesting to me how the owners that are with these leagues, right? Whether it's like Greg and the guys with Wild Aces, or, Quavo and whatever with the Glacier Boys. But it's interesting is that they really are dictating the mood and feeling of all these teams, right? And obviously, you've got hooked up with the Wild Aces. They want to, they tag you, right, or bring you on to be like one of their guys. Just talk about that, just seeing all this different stuff going on online and all the bickering and bantering and all that kind of stuff and your reactions.
Yeah. I think it's awesome. I love that each team has kind of developed their own almost persona, and it's so much fun to follow. Just like on the social media, I have no idea who runs them, but I get a kick of it, and that's helping just promotion of the league. Because again, this is the first season, so it's all about getting those promos out and getting those followers and everything. And just on social media nowadays, like you have to be entertaining to build a following base. And I follow every single team, and I just get a kick out of them every day. But I love the different personas, and again, I'm big on the Wild Aces right now. I love the vibes they're putting out. I love the owners, but yeah, I'm excited just to see how everything comes together.
Any players right now that you're taking a look at that you'd love to have on your team, wide receivers specifically?
Yeah, we got some dudes down here. The wide receiver talent is awesome, but one guy that's really been killing it and caught my eye is Andrew Jamil. Slot receiver, so shifty, smart. The offenses we're putting in, it's gonna be a lot of like kind of just reading the defense and like adapting with option routes. And he's been doing a great job, and he's so quick. So it's fun to get him the ball.
A question I had, and this might be too early in the practicing to talk about, but we're going to be doing the first draft February 10th, right? And we've kind of looked at it like, it's basically like real life fantasy football every week, right? People can vote and pick the teams, and then the next week, are you practicing with guys now, and then when they draft those teams, like how are you going to feel about, going from, I guess, how you're practicing now to being segregated into teams or segmented out? Like, how does that work? I was really curious when I saw the turnaround of the first draft to the first team, games on the 13th.
Yeah. And I've been wondering the same thing, to be honest. Like right now it's like a pool of players, right? So we're all learning the same offense. All like we're rotating, getting reps with everyone. We've recently like broken into like groups, almost not like teams, but just like, so like we can count on everyone getting the same amount of reps and everything and just building chemistry. But it's going to be really interesting, because especially in a high-paced, like offense-focused league, you got to build chemistry and know like just connections and timing with receivers, like breaks and everything. So I would assume, I don't know if this is correct because they haven't disclosed to us yet, but I would assume that like when we have those teams, like we'll break off and have separate practice times. But again, like the draft is February 10th, and then the first game is February 13th. So like, that's maybe like 2 days to quick practice and get on the same page. So it's going to be interesting for sure. And the teams that are going to be most successful are the ones that come together the quickest and just get on the same page.
Yeah, that was something we brought up recently, was like, can you form a decent amount of chemistry with someone you've been drafted with, 2 or 3 days before you play? Is that a concern for you? And if it is, how do you go about fixing that?
Yeah. Biggest thing is, in my experience, is communication. And like I said, there's a lot of receivers here. So like you could potentially be like drafted on the same team of a receiver that you've maybe thrown like 20 balls to throughout like training camp or whatever. And like 20 is like not a lot. Like we're throwing like 100 passes a day, like at least, like way more than that. So it's really important, just communication, just based on like what coverage they're in, like what you're doing at what depth, and just like ball placement. So and watching film, we're not at that stage right now because we're still only supposed to stay in like our pods and everything. But as like we get the bubble under like secure and like have not as many concerns with COVID, we'll be able to like watch film with people that aren't in our pods and everything. So it'll be interesting scene, but I'm excited. I love challenges, so it'll for sure be a challenge just to build chemistry and get on the same page.
Yeah, because that's something, that time just, you can rep with guys as many times as you want, but it's something just getting out there on the field and having that chemistry, especially, as a quarterback trying to figure out timing and everything and where they're going to be looking and whatever. It's just, it's different. Obviously, I think it's a lot more pressure on, you guys to like really be on the game, especially for that position, just to be able to, ready to go, right? Because people want to see, high scoring games and, all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
A couple more other questions here before we go. We were obviously a primarily XFL podcast. Would you have any interest in playing in that league? After we get done with Fan Control Football, when they're going to be starting off next year, what are your thoughts about XFL? Had you followed that before, any of this stuff, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I loved watching it. I loved the atmosphere. Like, it was perfect timing right after the Super Bowl. People still wanted to watch, football. And I liked how it was like different, like they interviewed players on the sideline and you could hear like the play calls. And I love that aspect. And like, I felt just as a fan, like watching at the time, like closer to the game and knew what was going on. So I would absolutely, any opportunity to keep playing the game that I love and, just hopefully make to that. You see all the stories of all the time, Mexico guys that makes the jump and kill it in the playoffs, just like recently. So I'm all about that, excited for my future and just hope I stay healthy and just have the opportunity to keep learning, keep growing my game, and keep playing for sure.
Is that the ultimate goal then, to get to the NFL potentially? Of course, obviously, probably.
That's been a dream of mine since I was little. But CFL, NFL, I'd love to keep playing and just play at the highest level possible for sure.
Last question before we let you go. Who is the worst team of the Fan Control Football teams, and why is it the Glacier Boys?
Glacier Boy, I don't want to put a target on me and everything, but they're the biggest rival with the Wild Aces, and Wild Aces is my squad. I'm loving them, but they're doing a lot of talk. They give me really like defensive back vibes, where they're always barking, always talking, and so we'll see if they can back it up.
Well, I appreciate, we try to get, obviously, some of the people are watching this league for the rivalry stuff. Some of our fans, I know Van the Man, our number one fan, he messes with me all the time. He goes, I want to hear more about football when it comes to Fan Control Football. So I think we did a good mix today with the interview. I think we got enough, bantering and rivalry, and then enough talking about football stuff. Paul, do you agree with that?
Totally agree. We're good. We're good. I think we've got a healthy mix.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jerdy, for coming on. Taking time right after practice, and you go get your food, right? Your bubble quarantine meal.
Yes. Highlight of the night. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on and taking the time.
Awesome, Jerdy. We'll be rooting for you, man.
And hashtag take Jerdy, right? Get him on the Wild Aces. That's what we want.
Yes, sir. Get me on those Wild Aces.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right. See you guys.
Want to thank Jerdy, Jackson Erdmann, for joining us here on the XFL Markcast. Look forward to seeing what he does in Fan Control Football, and looking forward to see what happens in his future. He's got a lot of time left. We'll see if he possibly gets to the XFL, maybe gets a futures deal, maybe even gets on a roster. Hopefully, all the best for Jerdy. Really good kid, really good character,
He's a great guy.
Great guy, and we're looking forward to seeing that happen. So, with that being said, we're going to take one more commercial break. Sorry, distributor complaining about their time length. This is great when it was short and sweet. We're going to take one more commercial break.
We got a big stuff coming up.
We got a big thing coming up. Reid's wife is joining. The most important guest of the Markcast this week. Reid's wife is joining us right after this. Dorothy.
Hi.
There we go. We got it.
How's it going?
Wow, look at all the accoutrement behind you there.
Yes. I've got all of my calendar for my kiddos and my tooth tracker when they lose teeth, and It's good. I got my Kraken gear on.
Nice.
Good.
I would prefer you in a Markcast sweatshirt, but I guess we'll take what we can get.
Wow.
I'm
gonna go ahead and step out here. You guys gonna argue? You guys gonna pick it?
So we're into the Mark Castaway segment today, or the garbage segment, the things that annoy Paul at the end of the podcast.
You don't annoy me, Dorothy. Don't let him tell you that fake news here.
I thought it was Red Sox.
The Red Sox statement, that's Will's vote. I'm going to put the poll out this week. Now that we got Dorothy on the garbage segment, it's not the garbage segment because it's Dorothy. It's the garbage segment because it's maybe it's the my wife segment. So Dorothy, why don't you set this up? Because I don't really know what we have going on.
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to the podcast as I do every week. And I think it was 2 weeks ago. And I heard something on there and I thought, I'm going to look into that, see if I can order it. And I was able to. And so, so anyway, but the funny part is you guys know how you have that thing on Fridays where it's like the big news comes out on Fridays. Yes. Well, this arrived last Friday. So I was like,
of course, we missed it. We missed every week.
I know. And so, and actually, there's 2 boxes. And
so this is great. Paul's going to love this. Only one of these is actually for us. The other one's like, it's, I don't know. We're going to, it's a 50-50 shot. I messed up my flag. We have a 50-50 shot. It said, I don't want to show our address. It does say on here, contains alcohol. So that's a good thing. So I don't know what we talked about unless it's like, I don't know. Paul, are we opening it? Are we ready?
Bro, I've been ready.
Paul's ready to go. Okay,
Paul's over it.
We're
not over it. I've been ready to go. Reid's been hyping this for
I said
the entire show for like a couple days before that. So I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what this is.
All right. Well, I did pretty good here with Paul's gonna like this. Paul is gonna like this a lot. I can already tell Paul is gonna like this. This is the right box.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That was lucky.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'd rather be lucky than good. All right, Paul.
Yes, sir.
We have I'm going to be very excited. This is great. Dorothy did an excellent job with this. We have a little bit of the bubbly.
Ah, yeah.
Yes. And maybe we'll have to do this at some point. I know Paul's not a big drinker, but maybe next time we're able to go to LA. We have a little bit of the bubbly Chris Jericho champagne.
Wow, thanks.
That was very thoughtful, Dorothy. That was very thoughtful.
We dig it.
Oh, good. I'm glad you like it. It was sold out for a while, so it's lucky that it's back in stock. And they have a funny video, like trailer promo. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but if you
is it the one where Chris Jericho's walking around shirtless talking about a little bit of bubbly?
Yeah.
No, he has it like in a briefcase and he opens it and all of his buddies are like, whoa, I don't know. It's funny. I'll show you. Maybe you can.
We'll share it on social media. Well, this is great. We have a little bit of the bubbly. We have a bottle apiece. So, Paul, next time you come up and visit, maybe we'll crack it open.
What, when 2023, when COVID is finally done and over with?
Well, we're going. When we go to the first XFL game, we'll crack this open and we'll have a little bit of the bubbly. So
sounds good. Sounds perfect.
Dorothy,
thanks, Dorothy.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Do you have any thoughts on the? Do you have any thoughts on the Oliver Luck Vince McMahon lawsuit? What we have here?
No, I just can't believe it's still going on.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, there you go.
That's going to go on longer than COVID, I'm afraid. That lawsuit.
Yeah, probably.
Well, this is good.
Okay, it's just for fun.
Looking forward to having a taste of that bubbly.
Chris Jericho can no longer perform the lion salt as seen on AEW TV this week, but he can. Yeah, it was really bad. Chris Jericho has put on probably about 35 pounds in the last couple of years, and he can no longer do his signature backwards moonsault off the middle turnbuckle. So,
well, what do they call it?
The lion salt.
It's called the lion salt.
Oh,
because he was the Lionheart Chris Jericho, and so then it was. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Well,
thank you for the champagne.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Definitely. I won't speak for Reid, but I definitely appreciate it. I'm looking forward to having some of that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, thank you again for coming on, Dorothy. I appreciate it. We're just going to end the show here. XFLshow.com/review if you're a fan of the show.
And XFLshow.com/merch to buy some merch because we got some merch up again.
Paul's putting all the merch up. Dorothy could have had her advertising XFL sweatshirt on, but she didn't. That's okay. It's all right.
We're going to continue to shame her.
Maybe next time.
She's got to come home to you soon and give you probably a sock to the jaw.
Yeah, a sock to the jaw.
I do have my XFL mask though.
She does have her XFL Markcast mask before the old school ones with the old logo.
The old logo.
Yeah.
So thanks Dorothy for joining us.
Thanks Jerdy, Jackson Erdmann. Thank you Jerdy for coming on. Thanks Vince, alternate football scouting report, for coming on, doing the Lord's work with all those stats. I know Paul loved all the stats. So thank you very much.
A lot of numbers there. There was a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff with Vince, but it was good, Vince. We love you. Thank you.
So tune in next week. I definitely will listen to this episode a few times to digest everything, but tune in next week. We'll have another great show for you. And thanks again, Dorothy, for the champagne, and thanks for showing up.
A little bit of the bubbly.
See y'all next week.
Thanks.